Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes, events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you, and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hello and welcome to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. And on tonight's show, I'm going to be talking about the planets this month. If you can hardly believe that. We are facing February already. And February, I have to double check just to make sure, starts on Friday. So I thought it was very fitting to talk about the planets in February because what a doozy of a month we are going to have in February. Mars moved into Aries December 31st, and it's been sailing along rather nicely, and bang, it's going to hit the outer planets. It's already actually started doing that, and it's just going to go one after the other. So I thought on tonight's show, it would be good to talk about that amongst the planets, the other planets changing sign. We also have in February another supermoon, super full moon in Virgo. What I wanted to also do was go through each sign and talk about what each sign can expect in February. And I have to keep looking at my calendar just to make sure we really are looking at February, because the month has gone by so quickly, I can hardly believe it. So without further ado, I'm going to launch straight into what we can expect as an overview in February. Now, there is just so much going on, particularly with Mars. So it's quite a destructive energy because Mars is making some very heavy hitting, unconscious power plays, manipulations to other planets. And if you can guess what those other planets will be, it's Uranus. And of course, let me see the date here in my calendar. It's Uranus and also Pluto. So February 1st starts out with Mars forming a very tense and challenging square to Pluto. And then it continues, just goes on and on. So Mars will be wreaking havoc throughout, particularly the first half of February, and then the second half when Mars moves into Taurus, and that's just in time for Valentine's Day on the 14th, Mars will move into Taurus. And so things settle down a bit. But typically Mars, and I say this all the time, the planets have their favorite signs and their least favorite signs. And so one of the favorite signs of Mars is actually Aries, where it is now. But the problem is that there are so many tough aspects that Mars and Aries will be making. So it sort of mixes it up a bit. And then February 14th, when warrior planet, action planet Mars, which is also the planet of aggression, moves into Taurus, it doesn't really like Taurus, but it gives us a reprieve. Even though it's a bit of a challenging type of energy, Mars and Taurus don't go well together. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so which is a much softer feminine energy, as is Taurus. So it's a bit contradictory, but that's what astrology is with its energies. But things do sort of calm down, although I say that, but there's a supermoon on February 19th. There's always something. But there's a supermoon, but it is in Virgo, so that is also a softer energy, rather than the lunar eclipse that we just had last week, which was in the very early stages of Leo and very much a challenging sort of energy where we're all looking for compromise or, needing to work amongst a team or be part of a team. The energy that we're looking at in February with the supermoon is in Virgo, and it's very much about team playing and that sort of thing. So back to February and looking at these aspects that we'll be dealing with regards to Mars and Mars wreaking havoc. And so when it hooks up with Pluto and Uranus, it's a very volatile type of energy. So if you are a cardinal sign, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, this is more so for you with these intense energies throughout February. And if you, and it's not just the sun sign, the cardinal energy of the sun sign, it's any planet that you may have in a cardinal sign, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. And if you don't know where your planets are when you were born, what signs they were in, get a free chart wheel from my website, theastrologer.com/chartwheel. And each week on the show, you can follow along and see how the weekly planets or even the monthly planets are affecting you. So February promises to be very memorable. And, January started off, everybody hitting the ground running with that lot of Capricorn energy. We started the year with solar eclipse on January 5th in Capricorn. And, of course, January 1st, we had the Sun conjunct Saturn. So it's all about professional endeavours, long-term plans, and that type of thing. So February sort of doesn't put the brakes on so much, but February really has us sort of taking a step back, even though we want to run forward and really reviewing priorities and also reviewing where we fit on a team and how we fit. Because we're currently in Aquarius, we'll be moving into Pisces, and it's really those two energies are all about how do we all get along with other people, working on a team. And so this challenging Mars energy that we'll be experiencing is very much about, how do we make things flow? How do we make things work without getting too heated, too frustrated, too impatient? These are classic keywords of the shadow side of Mars. So this is very important that we keep this in the back of our mind as we come up against this very challenging energy. We also have a new moon, and I'm going to cover more of this in detail throughout the show, but we also have a new moon in Aquarius on the 4th, which is around the same time on the 3rd when love planet Venus moves into Capricorn. But the new moon, which we have every month, a new moon, is all about new beginnings, new cycles. And, we're already in the season of Aquarius. And so a new moon in Aquarius is all about innovation, networking, community. It's like thinking outside the box, that type of thing, coming up with brilliant scientific or technological advances. And, maybe putting a spin on the tried and true or things that have been done before with like a new innovative approach. We also have the supermoon in Virgo. That's happening on the 19th. And so the super full moon in Virgo is all about how to keep things running smoothly, because this energy is all about efficiency. So if you apply all these keywords for the month of February, that might help us get through some of the really tough influences that we'll be dealing with when it comes to Mars. Now, I just mentioned love planet Venus moving into Capricorn, and that's happening on February 3rd, and that goes all the way through March 1st. And so what we can expect with Venus in Capricorn, it's a very serious type of energy. Now, if you put Venus, the planet of love, with Capricorn, which is quite a shy and reserved energy, it's more about being maybe ambition, or ambitious is a good word for this. We might find that we're restricting ourselves, we're sort of putting off immediate rewards, rather waiting for the rewards to come in the longer term. And when you apply that to relationships, it's very much about, if you're single and you're dating, it's very much about finding a good fit for a partner, somebody who checks off all the boxes, rather than just going with your emotional or going with your heart. This is not a love at first sight energy. This is very much about, checking off all the boxes of what you want, who looks good on paper, that sort of thing. So it's also good if you're in a relationship with Venus in Capricorn, love planet Venus in Capricorn, February 4th through March 1st. This is a great energy. If you're in a partnership, just to work with your partner on what are your long-term goals? What do you want to achieve together? Also, if you're on a team, career-wise, team energy, because Venus is also the planet of money, so it's love and money. So if you're collaborating on a team, Venus in Capricorn throughout February is very good for putting heads together and working through, a plan, a business plan in stages. What do you want in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, etc. So it's good for commitment. Whatever commitment is in whichever realm, Venus in Capricorn throughout February is very good for commitment. It's great for confidence. It's very much about long-term planning. It's about attracting money, attracting success with this influence, and especially if you're an earth sign, and that's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This is not going to be a month for anything frivolous. It's definitely a month for nose to the grindstone, knowing what you want, and fulfilling ambitions at this time. Now, as I said, there's also a new moon in Aquarius on February 4th, and this is great for new beginnings if you're an air sign or have any planets in air signs, and that's Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So the new moon in Aquarius is all about radical changes, and the sooner the better. And it's the first new moon off the back of the solar eclipse, January 5th. So this is just a regular old new moon. I'm actually looking to see what else it's aspecting. Before I say it's a regular old new moon, I think I need to double check that just to make sure. I see that we have a conjunction to the new moon from Mercury, planet of the mind, and also a sextile to Jupiter, planet of expansion. So the couple of things there, with the new moon in Aquarius on February 4th, we've got Mercury, planet of the mind, involved, and a really nice sextile to Jupiter. So this is really good news for the new moon on February 4th, new moon in Aquarius. It involves Mercury, planet of the mind, planet of the intellect, planet of communication. So it's like our minds will be firing at this time. Now, Aquarius is an air sign, so it's very intellectual and it's a very fast thinking energy. And so when you involve Mercury, planet of the mind, with that, and of course the sextile to Jupiter, planet of expansion and broadening our horizons and hope and optimism, it's a really good combination of planetary energies for any type of brainstorming or starting new projects or any type of innovation, thinking outside the box, that type of thing. It's also good for advancing on what's currently there, coming up with new brilliant solutions to what is already there. It's also very good for any sort of scientific breakthroughs, any type of technology work. So if you work in the tech industry, this is a fantastic energy for you, especially if you have any planets in the air signs. This is great news. The new moon in Aquarius, February 4th, is very good for innovation. And it's like, on the flip side, many of us will want to break free from the mundane, especially with these tough Mars aspects that are going on to the outer planets. So it's like sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, friction and tension will bring change and innovation. So February is going to be a month like that, especially the first half of February. So it's like this is the time to let your imagination run wild. It's sort of like we might be thinking, how can we make a difference in society or to other people at this time? Because the energy of Aquarius is humanitarian. It's the philanthropist. It's thinking, we're all connected. We are one. How do we help our fellow humans and that sort of thing? We're thinking, outside of ourselves with this influence as well. And also with that sextile from Jupiter in Sagittarius, it's very much about thinking about not just our own community, our own state, our own country. We're thinking of our fellow humans overseas as well with that influence, that positive influence from Jupiter. And Mars will still be in Aries at that time of the new moon. So it's like that's also forming a sextile to the new moon. So it's very much about wanting to take action. This is more than just thoughts and ideas and brainstorming. This is actually taking action. But the problem is with this new moon, there's issues and frustrations because Mars will be forming this an ongoing square to Saturn and also Pluto, both in Capricorn. So it's very much about red tape, bureaucracy, things being held up, wanting to move ahead with our philanthropic plans and endeavours, but something or red tape, authority, rules, regulations are holding us up. But this is when we make breakthroughs. This sort of level of frustration that might be coming to many of us is when there's breakthroughs will happen. And I'm just trying to think of that expression, necessity is the mother of all invention, is basically the theme of February. So it's like we're wanting to take those steps. We're wanting to get moving, but there's too many hoops to jump through. There's too many bosses to answer to, so to speak. Even though, yes, it is a great month for brainstorming and working together with others, there will still be these issues that we need to address and make breakthroughs with. Now, if you're a fire sign, this is incredibly frustrating. Although that said, with Jupiter in Sagittarius and Mars in Aries, it's like there is some great energy around. It's just like you won't want to pay attention to these, to the steps involved, to be pragmatic and methodical. So the energies of Saturn and Pluto will be slowing us down and forcing us to take these practical, methodical, pragmatic steps, baby steps instead of making leaps and bounds, because that's what we're going to want to do with Mars in Aries and Jupiter in Sagittarius. It's very much about wanting to rush out there and not think through the detail and so on. Now, the other ingredients in this mix of the month is Mercury, planet of the mind, in Pisces. Now, it moves into Pisces on February 10th, and it's going to be an extra long cycle because Mercury will be all the way in Pisces through April 17th, and I will tell you why after the break, so stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hi, this is New Age Grammy winner Paul Avgerinos. Thanks for listening to OMTimes Radio, and please support my peaceful healing music with a purchase at iTunes, Amazon, or wherever you shop for fine music. Just put my name into the search engine, Paul Avgerinos. A, V like Victor, G like George, E-R-I-N-O-S. You can also visit me at roundskymusic.com. Thanks for listening, and I'm wishing you the brightest of blessings.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer Kelly Fox, talking about the planets this month and what a month we have. There is so much going on. I know I always say that, but there really is this month, and we can thank Mars for that. Warrior planet Mars is making some pretty tough aspects to some of the outer planets, but we also have some really great energy as well. Just looking at my calendar here, and we've got this fantastic aspect on February 7th, and it's the Sun forming a sextile to Jupiter, as well as Mercury forming a sextile to Mars. Now, what this means is that there's a lot of hope and optimism that's going around between the Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter and Mars. So it's a very good energy for brainstorming, especially, now this is on the 7th, and especially after the full moon on the 4th. So really, next week, first week of February, we've got some great energy for any sort of brainstorming or expansion or taking action around that. Now, just remember that we've got this red tape or hoops that we need to jump through. So don't sort of take shortcuts and don't sort of go around the boss. It's better to collaborate and work within the rules. Now, just before the break, I was talking about Mercury, and we've got this extra long Mercury cycle, and if you can guess the reason why, you will know that we're coming up to a Mercury retrograde. Now, this one promises to be even more, what's a really good word for this, more confusing without sounding like an alarmist, and that is because Mercury, planet of the mind and the intellect and communication, will be in Pisces. Now, that's happening February 10th all the way through, all the way through April 16th. And the reason being is because Mercury is not comfortable being coupled up with Pisces. Mercury does not like being with Pisces because Pisces is the sign of emotions and feelings and intuition, and Mercury is a very logical, practical energy. So when you put those two together, the energies are at odds with each other. So Mercury in Pisces, February 10th through April 16th. But then just to add insult to injury, we've got Mercury turning retrograde in Pisces. Now that's happening on March 5th all the way through March 28th. So we don't have to worry about it just yet for February, but just know the start of this retrograde cycle is February 10th. So I'm just looking, Mercury will turn retrograde. Oh, geez, just to add more salt to the wound here, Mercury will turn retrograde at the very last, the final degree of Pisces, the anaretic degree. And so that's a very fated quality. So Mercury will be turning retrograde in its least favorite sign in its most potent degree. So March, there should be some confusion there around nearly every area of life with this very potent placement and degree and sign, etc. So March, sort of like we're getting all our stuff out of the way in February. So it's a great month for brainstorming, connecting with others, but there will be some communication confusion, not just because it's a regular old Mercury retrograde, but because of the position that Mercury is in when it turns retrograde. So normally with Mercury and Pisces, even though I said these two energies don't really get on together, it does increase our intuitive abilities. So our intuitive psychic abilities are much stronger now. So we can't really rely on our rational mind. It's more like we're getting in touch with the bigger picture or a higher vision. But this goes with the energy of what's happening as well with, that next week, first week of February. It's very much about really great for brainstorming and looking at the big picture and so on. So Mercury in Pisces, starting from February 10th, is very much about that as well. So again, here's the following week and then through the end of February. It's a really great energy for looking at the big picture, brainstorming, creative pursuits. It's very good for compassion and caring for other people. But it's a time to sort of avoid any sort of details or the daily life or routine. It's important in February to pay attention to our dreams rather than reality. And it's like if you can dream it, just make it big. The bigger the idea, the better type of thing. Our mind during February is going to be very flexible and adaptable and wide open to other people's ideas and possibilities. It's good to incorporate opinions from other people as well. And it's excellent energy for teamwork and collaborative efforts. So here's more energies that are really sort of supporting that February is going to be a month to really connect with others and, make something really big. So just remember, anything that requires organisation or attention to detail may be frustrating, especially with the challenging aspects that Mars is making. Mars is the planet of action and assertion, moving things forward. This is a time to sort of just stay in that brainstorming creative mode. If you try and push things forward, which most of us will do, especially if you're a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, there could be some frustration there. So it's more about getting clear with the big picture and what you want to create, and channeling your imagination into creative outlets. Any sort of creativity like music, painting, poetry, dance, performance, anything like that is a great use of the energies of February. Now, on March 5th through the 28th, we've got the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So this just adds more to about, stick with the creativity for the next couple of months and the brainstorming. And when Mars moves into Taurus, now that's happening on February 14th, Mars will be in Taurus all the way through to March 30th. So we've got Warrior Mars moving into Taurus. Things will slow down a bit. And so it's sort of like we've got a reprieve where we can sort of take it easy. And so our motto during this time, February 14th on, so the second half of February, is slow and steady wins the race. Now that's definitely a big difference from what we're going to be experiencing, all the way from the beginning of the year through February 14th, when Mars in Aries is all about getting stuff done really fast and moving on to the next thing even faster. So it's like, Mars in Aries, the flip side of that has been impatience and frustration, and which will come about more so as Mars forms, tough aspects to, first it's a square to Pluto on February 1st, and then we've got the square also, the conjunction, here it is, on February 12th, we've got Mars conjuncting Uranus. So we start off with Mars squaring Pluto, and then it'll form a conjunction to Uranus. And I'm just looking back in January, and we also had Mars forming a square to Saturn, and so that's been problematic as well. So Mars, and this was on just last week, that's right, last Monday on the 21st. So Mars, square to Saturn, square to Pluto, conjunction to Uranus. What else? It's sort of like we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But just know that there are some really good aspects on the flip side. So it's not so much about taking action, it's about making plans and brainstorming with other people. Now, what else can we expect when Mars moves into Taurus February 14th all the way through March 30th? And so this is a time like following routine. And many of us will be embracing routine given the tough aspects that we've been dealing with, starting last week all the way through February 14th. So it's very much about, when Mars moves into Taurus on February 14th, it's about being methodical and like ploughing through a task or a project or a to-do list. And physically we'll be feeling really strong and sturdy. So it's not about, running sprints. It's more about pacing ourselves for the marathon with this transit. And it's a really good energy, Mars in Taurus, for getting out into the outdoors for our exercise. We might have this inclination to sit at home and be lazy, but it's like if we can get out into nature, it's a good offset. Gardening is a fantastic activity for when Mars will be in Taurus. So it's February 14th through March 30th. It's a very, also Mars in Taurus is a very sensual and tactile energy. So exploring the world through our senses. So it's also a very romantic energy as well, because Taurus is one of the signs ruled by Venus, planet of love. So make the most of that energy. And so many of us will be, breathing a sigh of relief when Mars does move into Taurus, even though it's not one of its favorite signs. Also in February, the Sun will be moving into Pisces. It will be making its annual trip into Pisces, and that's February 18th. And on that same day, Mercury, planet of the mind, will be forming a conjunction to Neptune, the ruler of Pisces. So there's a lot of very soft, flowing, intuitive, creative, spiritual, musical energy around the 18th, and that's the day before the Supermoon, Full Moon in Virgo. Also on the 18th, we've got Venus conjunct Saturn. This is a very serious and somber energy. Venus, the planet of love, coming together with Saturn, planet of responsibility. So we're taking things very seriously, especially in the romance department. So what can we expect with the Sun in Pisces, and especially the 18th when Mercury conjuncts Neptune in Pisces as well? So we've got the Sun, Mercury, Neptune in Pisces. This is all about imagination. And again, another really great energy for using our imagination, for brainstorming, for performance art, music, painting, dancing, poetry, fiction. It's like let ourselves daydream about the future. And, it's a great time to come up with new visions for our ideal life. So you might find that your dreams are more prominent or vivid at this time, especially with Mercury and Neptune in Pisces, and that's the week of the 18th. And many of us will be feeling more sensitive, maybe overwhelmed by responsibilities. Although I say that, but then we've got Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn forming really nice grounding energy to this Pisces energy. So it's like it is a good time to dream. It is a good time to expand, on what we want in our daily life. It's sort of like dream big, putting plans into action. So it's February's definitely a mixed bag of energy, that is for sure. And then, of course, we've got that full moon, supermoon in Virgo. So this is the time really then for sort of finding that balance between, the dreamy side of Neptune with Mercury and Neptune there as well. The dreamy side of Pisces, with Mercury and Neptune there as well, versus the detail of this Virgo full moon, supermoon on February 19th. So it's like, it's going to be all about organization and working our stuff into manageable piles and getting through our to-do list. But then we've got the flip side of that with this dreamy, we're out of our routine, we're out of sorts. So it's about finding the balance. That's what this supermoon, full moon in Virgo will be about. It's about efficiency, and it's about, having this proactive work ethic, and it's about our organizational skills and staying steady with the course of where we're going. So it's a good time to sort of find that balance, but really the energy of, this full moon, supermoon in Virgo is also about helping others and being of service, and with the Pisces influence, being very charitable and compassionate and helping our community. And, with the energy of Jupiter as well, it's more about not just helping our own community and our own country, but helping people in faraway places, joining together as one. It's a very, very nice spiritual energy. It's a very compassionate energy throughout the month. It's taking those steps once Mars moves into Taurus, practical, pragmatic steps to get stuff done. So that's February. There's so much going on in February. There was also so much going on in January. And on that note, we will take a break. And after the break, I will go through the monthly horoscope. So stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Hi, this is recording artist and composer Yuval Ron, inviting you to a voyage through the chakras, a new double album of guided meditations to transform your life. A sublime musical medicine for nourishing inner peace and reaching to your higher virtues. Get it now at metamindfulnessmusic.com. METTA mindfulnessmusic.com.
I can't believe he found them.
He seems sorry.
We very clearly told him not to look up there.
I'm honestly impressed that he was able to do it.
Right? What, did he balance on that big chair?
Yeah, I guess he'll just know what his gifts are this year.
I really thought we had hidden them well.
If they can find their presents, they can find a gun.
911, what is your emergency?
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I am your host and astrologer Kelly Fox, talking about the planets this month. And if you can believe, we are already already in February. There's that Mars in Aries, always in a rush. But then, of course, no, we are not already in February. We're nearly in February. So I'm going to go through the monthly horoscopes for each sign. And if you're in Aries, the first week of February is going to be really intense, and that's because your ruling planet is Mars, and it's in your sign, and it's challenging Pluto. So it's challenging Pluto, so there's going to be a power struggle, and Pluto is domineering, and ultimately Pluto will win. So there might be some issues there over your work and career. So don't be too angry or too hard on yourself if you've missed opportunities or frustration, or you might think somebody's being treated differently to you. February 3rd, love planet Venus will shift into your career zone. So things will settle down a bit, but don't let frustration or impatience get the better of you, particularly around your career. Now, the new moon on February 4th will highlight friendships and networking. So it's a good time to get out there and make new connections with colleagues if you're not happy where you are in your job or your career. But then, of course, February 13, Mars, your ruling planet, joins up with unpredictable Uranus in Aries. So anything goes. Anything goes at all, especially if you're born at the very end of Aries. This is more so for you. So things will calm down a bit. It's a good time around the supermoon on the 19th. Just focus on your health and fitness. It's a great way to sort of channel this impatience and anger and frustration of the month into a new fitness regime. If you're a Taurus, and I'm probably going to say this for all of the signs, this aspect on February 1st, on Friday, Mars squaring up to Pluto. For you, Taurus, this might mean being your own harshest critic. So be kind to yourself. But there is a distraction with the Venus-Uranus trine on February 2nd. So this is good for money for you, coming from maybe a surprising source. And then love planet Venus shifts into your travel zone February 3rd. So there might be a good connection with overseas, or even just looking at life from a philosophical point of view. And then the new moon, February 4th for Taurus, is about making a fresh start at work. Now be careful February 13th, and this is for everybody, but for you, Taurus, the Mars-Uranus conjunction might mean that secrets come to a head, or something that's been secret is no longer secret because of something unexpected coming your way. And then the supermoon, full moon, February 19th is in your creative zone. So this is all about being really creative and doing something that makes you happy creative-wise, and also trusting your intuition. If you're a Gemini, just be careful with that Mars-Pluto square. Tensions will build. There could be some frustration over events beyond your control. But that lovely Venus-Uranus trine on February 2nd will soften anything that might come, and deal with that tension that happens on the 1st. And then Venus shifts into your passion zone, so you'll want a much deeper and more spiritual connection with someone else. That's really good. And then the new moon on the 4th is in your adventure zone or philosophy zone. So it's like think through something in a more detached and laid back type of way, or think of something differently to what you normally might do. And then, of course, for everybody, that explosive Mars-Uranus conjunction on the 13th happens in your friend zone, which also is connected to your online friends as well. So be very careful around social media February 13th if you're a Gemini. And also, let me see here. So Cancer, for you, what's coming about is that difficult square with Mars-Pluto on the 1st. It highlights some discomfort with your home-work balance. But just know that February 2nd, we've got this lovely Venus-Uranus trine, so that suggests a surprise improvement to your working conditions. And then, of course, Venus, planet of love, shifts into your love zone on February 3rd, which is really, really nice. It's not just a romantic influence, but other people are drawn to you at this time. So throughout February, everything that's going on around you, all those harsh energies, you've still got love planet Venus in your zone of love. So people are drawn to you regardless. And then a very passionate new moon on February 4th, which really gives some good energy to you. So on February 13th, the Mars-Pluto conjunction really comes down to, for Cancer, a dramatic decision that you might need to make, or something that's completely unexpected and you have to do something in a snap decision or snap judgment. And then, with Mars moving into Taurus, that really helps you, regain your footing. Other people might help you. Friends, your network of people will help you, second half of February through end of March. It's also a great time for you to manifest what you really want. And then, of course, the supermoon is in your intellectual zone, February 19th. So your mind is a lot clearer to think things through. If you're a Leo, as February begins, you may be adapting to a new travel or work routine. So you need to have patience. And this is for everybody. Have patience and perseverance. That tense Mars-Pluto square on the 1st might highlight arguments and challenges that come about. But, of course, the Venus-Uranus trine the following day brings a nice surprise. And then, Venus arrives in your routine zone. It's a good time to focus on your health, diet, fitness throughout February, and a great outlet for any sort of frustrations that may be coming your way or impatience for the month of February. And so, of course, that's on February 13th, the Mars-Uranus conjunction is in your travel and philosophy zone. So there might be some unexpected travel that comes about. But again, look at life from a higher or broader point of view. And this is a lot more doable as well with Jupiter in a favorable sign to your sign. There could be some good financial news as well for you, Leo, particularly following the super full moon on February 19th, which falls in your money zone. So this is new beginnings around money and possessions in February. Now, if you're a Virgo, for all the signs, February does begin on an uneasy note with that very tough Mars square to Pluto. So for you, Virgo, you might feel a little bit stifled and unable to express yourself as you would prefer. It's almost as if you can't risk being yourself, which is very uncomfortable for anybody. So look to your family for support. Particularly, the beginning of the month. So there could be a really nice family surprise. And then Venus, planet of love, will shift into your creativity zone on February 3rd. So throughout the month of February, you're feeling much more confident about pursuing your own path and looking for new opportunities. And then also we have this, Mars, planet of action, finally shifts into a compatible sign for you and into your justice zone. So it's going to be making things a whole lot easier for you after February 14th to be open and transparent about your motives and actions. It's like you can finally be yourself. And then, of course, the super full moon, February 19th, is in your own sign. So, the light is shining on you with this supercharged full moon in a good way. If you're a Libra, so relationships for you in February with your in-laws, especially, or your extended family, could be prickly with that very tense Mars-Pluto square on the 1st. There could be some sort of showdown, which I know Libra does not like any sort of confrontation. So the best way to avoid that is to have open and honest communication. That will really dissipate the very tense energies of the first half of February. And then you've got Venus planet of love arriving in your family zone, so the tensions will ease significantly. And then, of course, it just gets better because the new moon is in your joy zone, and so that's a giant relief. But, of course, families do have a way of complicating even the best of relationships. So just be aware, around the 13th with that very challenging Mars-Uranus conjunction in your love zone, there could be some unexpected surprises from your partner, and if you are single, from other people. So looking into your family history throughout February may bring some interesting new dimensions to your relationships with your in-laws and other people, especially around that supermoon, full moon, which will fall into your intuition zone and highlights karmic links between you and your soul group. Scorpio, for you in February, it's important that you take really good care of your mental health. There are a lot of challenging aspects that we all need to deal with, so make sure that you find some time to relax. There could be some potential health issues if you let things build up. So find an outlet where you can safely let off steam. But there is a lovely Venus-Uranus trine, which does suggest that financial pressures do ease up. And then Venus shifts into your mind zone, where it will be for all of February. So it's good to sort of give yourself some time and space to settle your emotions, because, of course, all of us will be affected by this Mars-Uranus conjunction, and it falls in your health zone. So there could be a bit of a wake-up call for you, Scorpio, with regards to any sort of health. So be sure to take some time out for yourself. And then, of course, Mars, planet of passion, will move into your love zone February 14th. So that's through March 30th. So that's really, really good news for you. But it's really important, Scorpio, that you're taking care of yourself first. Sagittarius, for you in February, your reckless streak is coming to the fore as February starts to get underway. So it's good news for your adrenaline levels, but not so great news for your finances, perhaps. So risk-taking creates some conflict, and potentially serious conflict at that, with these very intense planetary energies. So helpful Venus-Uranus trine on February 2nd really does give us all, and you especially, Sag, more positive and creative way to express yourself. And then Venus moves into your money zone for all of February, so this is great energy, but it does invite excessive spending, so just be aware of that. And then the new moon in your mind zone encourages you to take a more responsible approach. But of course, tension for everyone around February 13th, when Mars conjuncts unpredictable Uranus in your risk zone. So if you can put all that together, this is not a good time to take a risk or a chance of any sort. And then Mars moving into your health zone, you should be focused on your health and diet and fitness. The supermoon, full moon on February 19th occurs in your ambition zone. So it suggests that you're switching your focus towards your career toward the end of February. Okay, Capricorn, so much going on for you and your sign. So the cosmic energies for February are all about shaking off criticism from family members and becoming more confident in yourself. Of course, the month gets off to a bumpy start for all of us with that Mars-Pluto square on the 1st. So that highlights perhaps your anger or upset over what you see as family interference in your life. But the following day, of course, we've got this really great Venus-Uranus trine. So it's like, you can understand how to handle this situation much better than maybe what you've previously done before. And then Venus moves into your own sign, where it will be throughout February. So you'll be feeling a lot more confident in February and much better able to be who you are. And then the new moon in your resources zone on the 4th hints at good financial news, or maybe if you're looking to buy something, a new possession, perhaps it's a good time to do it. That will boost your confidence. And then we've got that explosive Mars-Uranus conjunction on the 13th, and that's going to happen for you in your family zone. So there could be some fallout around home and family matters, So just be aware of that, especially if you're born towards the end of Capricorn. This will be affecting you more so. And then we've got this amazing supermoon, full moon in your exploration zone on February 19th. So that could suggest some adventure or travel or broadening your horizons around that time. Now we have Aquarius. So for you Aquarius in February, if you're not sure about something, bluffing your way through could be tricky because remember what I was saying earlier on in the show, we'll want to take a step forward, but we'll have to jump through hoops or red tape or bureaucracy or the boss or rules or regulations. Don't take any shortcuts, in other words. But the new moon is in your own sign on the 4th, so that's all about new beginnings for you. So that's really good for Aquarius. But then around the 13th, you've got Mars, Uranus connecting. Uranus is your ruling planet. So there could be some shock of some kind or some unexpected news. And then the full moon supermoon occurs in your mystery zone. So be sure to tune into your intuition. And finally, we have Pisces. Fairness and equality are key issues for you in February, but they could be in short supply because, of course, that difficult Mars-Pluto square on the 1st might highlight an injustice within your friendship circle, particularly related to money or resources. But stay calm. Because the new moon on February 4th does occur in your spiritual zone, so be sure to take some time out to meditate or explore your own beliefs, but definitely listen to your own intuition. It won't steer you wrong. And then there could be some financial news, could be a shock on the 13th, with Mars and Uranus conjunct in your money zone. But don't worry, things will settle down and romance is in the air toward the end of February with that wonderful supermoon, full moon in your love zone. And then the sun moves into your sign and it all gets better from there. That's it from me. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, and this is The Astrology Show. Wishing you a great week and be sure to tune in next week.